It is 93 days till the man burns, and today we're talking about how to do Burning Man if you are a terrible decision maker. Because there are a ton of decisions to make at Burning Man, and if you're indecisive like me, it can be enough just trying to choose like what chocolate bar you're gonna buy, let alone all of these big decisions at Burning Man. It can be a little bit overwhelming. So you want to make it as easy on yourself as possible so you can focus on those decisions of what adventures am I going to have, what fun am I going to have, instead of worrying about, what you're going to eat and what you're going to wear that day, those kind of things. The more kind of boring decisions. So prep time is probably the hardest time because that's when you're deciding what gear you're going to bring with you, looking at things that you need to buy, which, with online shopping, it's complicated. It's like an indecisive person's nightmare. And if you're a first timer, that's when it's really hard during prep time because you're kind of in a bit of a mystery about what you need and what the best things to get are. The second, third, fourth year, if you keep going, it gets a lot easier because you already have a lot of your gear and you know what does work and what doesn't work. If you're coming as part of a group and you are preparing everything as a group, it might be worth letting a more decisive person make some of the decisions for you, especially anything that you are just really struggling to figure out. I kind of pass things off to my boyfriend quite a lot, so I'll be like, okay, I found like 5 different pairs of goggles or 5 different tents. Which one do you think we should get? And then I don't have to do the whole narrowing it down and choosing just one, because it's hard. If you don't have someone that you can do that with, then you're just gonna have to make decisions. The easiest way I find is to narrow down the options and then just flip a coin about which one to go for. Because otherwise I'd just be poring over the descriptions and comparing them just forever. It can also help if you set a deadline for yourself and say, okay, everything that I need to order online or everything that I need to buy, it needs to be done by this date. And, try and stick to it because it's just gonna put that pressure on the decision making that sometimes will make you make that decision. When you're packing everything up, one thing you definitely want to avoid is overpacking, because that is going to result in having to make a ton of decisions while you're there. If you bring enough costumes for 20 people, you're going to have to decide which ones you're going to wear. And that might not sound like a big thing, but when you get up and you want to go out and you are kind of going through tons and tons of costumes and deciding, do I want to wear this one or do I want to wear that one? And it can kind of eat up some of your day just making decisions like that. If you just bring the minimum, so you have like one costume for each day or one outfit for each day, you're not going to be stuck trying to decide things. You'll just know okay, I'm wearing that costume today. Some people like to go as far as actually kind of designating the things and being like, okay, this is Monday's clothes and this is Tuesday's clothes, so that they're not even thinking, which one out of the ones that I have should I wear? They're just like, this is Monday's outfit. This is what I'm wearing today. And in all honesty, with costumes, for a lot of people, you end up not wearing everything that you bring. Sometimes you'll just have one thing that's so comfy that you're like, I'm just gonna wear this for the rest of my time here. And that can go for many other things, like for your food. Do you really need to bring as much food as you're bringing? Do you need to have 67 different meal options? Or could you kind of squish it down and make it easier on yourself? So when it comes to eating, you're not trying to decide out of all of the stuff you've brought what you're gonna eat that night. And it also means you have less stuff to be digging through. Richard. And you could make a meal plan if you want to, so that, every day you know what you're going to be eating. You're not even going to have to think about it. It's just like, okay, today we're eating this. With the guidebook that you get at Burning Man that tells you, what's going on everywhere and when. Me and that book are not the best of friends because I love scheduling and it is like a schedule person's dream. I could waste so much time going through that book and trying to figure out, what things I want to do and when I'm going to do them and, swapping things because they clash with each other. And so I tend to not really read it. I might have a little flick through just to, see what's there, but I try and avoid getting sucked into it. So one of my friends has a great solution for this. She brings a notebook and a pen, she goes through the guide and she writes down anything that she really, really wants to do. What it is, what time it is, and where it is. And then she doesn't look at the guide again. She just has, this notebook, that doesn't have anything else to like distract her, just the things that she wants to do. And then she ends up not doing that many of them, because that's just kind of what happens at Burning Man. But it means that she isn't looking through that book all the time. She just has a quick reminder of things that are going on that she would really like to do. Kind of gets all the other options out of the way. So if you are kind of into the book and you want to know what's going on and you want to schedule a bit, that could be a good way to go, because then you only see the things that you really want to do. But a lot of the time it is more fun to just kind of see where the day takes you and have adventures. So don't let it become really overwhelming. Don't stress about, trying to schedule every minute of every day according to that guide. And sometimes things change as well. That workshop that was supposed to be going on is not happening, or it's moved to a different time. Sometimes there'll just be other things that you see that you decide to do. So try not to stress about it on the first day. Another great thing to do is to just pretend that you're a decisive person. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but when you're faced with a decision, just be like, okay, we're doing this. And like, don't think about it. Don't get into the whole like, well, should we, or maybe, or but. Don't do any of that. Just when presented with two options, just choose one. No major thought process behind it. Because I feel like when you're indecisive, it's really like that's what's going on. It's your head doing like pros and cons of both things. Like, don't do that too much. Obviously that doesn't work for everything, but if someone says to you like, hey, do you want to go and do some acrobalance, or do you want to go and see some art? It's not a life-changing decision. You don't need 20 minutes to like weigh up all the pros and cons of it. Just like pick one on the spot. Just pretend that you're a decisive person. Just think about how important the decision that you're trying to make really is. Does it really matter what costume you're wearing that day, what food you're eating that day, what you are doing that day? Like, none of these things are really huge life-changing decisions. So try not to get stuck in that like indecisive spot where you spend the next hour trying to figure out the answer to the question. And if you do get stuck at any point, let someone else decide. If you're camping with friends, let them decide for you. If you're camping alone, ask a stranger. If you're stuck, like, what costume should I wear today? My purple tutu or my fairy wings? Or both. What a combination. Then ask a neighbour, ask a stranger, just be like, hey, purple tutu or fairy wings? And chances are they will just be like, fairy wings or purple tutu. If you're not sure what you want to do that day, you've got two things you really want to do, ask someone, be like, yoga or acrobalance? And chances are they will just reply with one of them, because they don't care, the decision they're making doesn't affect them, so it's very easy for them to just be like, that one. Chances are a lot of you will end up bringing too much stuff, so just remember, it's not that important. No one really cares what costume you're wearing that day. You could wear nothing and no one's going to care. It's not really that important what you eat that day, as long as you eat something. Just remember, you're going to have far more fun going out and having adventures and having fun, rather than being stuck back at your camp trying to decide what outfit you're going to wear, or trying to decide what you're going to have for lunch. The sooner you can kind of get those things over and done with, the more time you're going to have for adventure and fun. Beware of the fear of missing out as well. It can be kind of tough to decide if you have two things going on that you really, really want to do, and you get that fear of missing out, like, oh, if I choose that one, then I'm missing out on this one. What shall I do? Which one shall I go to? And really, there's so much going on all the time. You are always missing out on something. And there might be times where you want to go and do something, but actually you'd rather take a nap, or you'd rather go and do something else, or you spot something along your way to get to that place and you're like, oh, I kind of want to do that now. So try not to get stuck in the kind of fear of missing out place that's going to make it really hard for you to make decisions. That's why it can be nice to ignore the guide a bit and not schedule everything, because then you don't worry so much about what you're missing out on, because you're not looking at your guide every 5 minutes trying to see like, okay, it's 3 o'clock and this is happening and this is happening and this is happening. Which one are we going to go to? So I hope this was helpful, guys. I hope that all of you indecisive people out there managed to have a stress-free, decisive Burning Man. And if any of the rest of you have any tips or tricks for kind of how to be a good decision maker, let us know in the comment section below. And if you see me at Burning Man this year, feel free to come and say hi to me.